We're at war. There's been an act of war declared upon America by terrorists, and we will do whatever it takes to smoke them out, and we'll get them.
Tonight, a new battle cry from the president, new arrest tied to the attack, and new evidence of the Pentagon's destruction.
Words can't describe the way it is inside.
Casualties climb in the gruesome work at Ground Zero.
We're human. This is going to take its toll on everyone.
A solemn parade of funerals and of prayers. The winds of war are blowing hard tonight.
My message is for everybody who wears the uniform, get ready.
In the attack on America. Good evening. On a Saturday when America begins mourning its dead, President Bush ordering the U.S. military to ready itself for war. There is progress reported in the search for those responsible, and the devastating work of searching for the missing does continue tonight. I'm Tom Brokaw in New York, and we've asked NBC's Chris Hansen to bring us up to date on all the day's late developments.
Saturday, a new day dawns, and with it the same ponderous images. Rescue workers combing through rubble where the World Trade Center's Twin Towers once stood, still smoldering 5 days after the attack. Long lines of worried faces looking for loved ones. And investigators combing through rubble at the other two crash sites at the Pentagon and in western Pennsylvania.
The voice data recorder was recovered by investigators in the crater. It was approximately 25 feet below the surface. It's hoped that if it's in good shape, it'll provide information, maybe give us a good idea of what was occurring inside the plane.
In Manhattan this morning, a scene that will be repeated an incomprehensible number of times in the coming weeks. Memorial services. This one for Fire Department Chaplain Father Michael Judge, who died as he was administering last rites to a fellow firefighter.
Our brother was suddenly and violently taken from us. Since you are always faithful and quick to show mercy, come quickly to his aid.
Then again outside Washington, this service for Barbara Olson. She was much more than just a television commentator, one of those people everyone in Washington seems to know, respected, adored.
This is indeed a sad occasion, one to be repeated thousands of times by too many of our fellow citizens.
And there are countless smaller remembrances, too, at the hundreds of impromptu shrines that have sprung up around the city and around the nation.
Hopefully there's still hope and a miracle, and I'm optimistic miracles happen.
9:45 a.m., the president, meeting with his national security team at a heavily fortified Camp David, keeps the focus on Osama bin Laden, the man many believe is behind the attack.
There is no question he is what we would call a prime suspect.
For those prime suspects, a vow from the president.
They will try to hide. They will try to avoid the United States and our allies. But we're not going to let them. They run to the hills. They find holes to get in. And we will do whatever it takes to smoke them out and get them running, and we'll get them.
The president's remarks are the beginning of a long campaign to prepare Americans for what he is calling the nation's first war of the 21st century.
We're at war. There's been an act of war declared upon America by terrorists, and we will respond accordingly.
11 o'clock, the Pentagon. Officials report they've been able to shore up the badly damaged building and are recovering many bodies. They released this videotape of the impact area. Startling evidence of what can happen when a civilian jetliner is turned into a guided missile.
This is in a renovated section on the opposite side, if you were facing the opposite side. This is a hole in that was a punch-out. They suspect that this was part of the aircraft came through this hole.
Walls sheared away, personal effects eerily intact, frozen in a moment of terror.
You see someone's glasses here and some candy on the desk. This office is open to the elements now, but there's stuff sitting on top of the file cabinets and on the desk. So it survived all the initial impact.
4 days after two jets took off from here and were commandeered into the World Trade Center, Austin's Logan Airport reopens, leaving only Washington Reagan still closed tonight. Some security experts say it should stay closed, given its proximity to potential terrorist targets. Already some airlines are feeling the financial stress. Continental, for one, cuts 20% of its flights, furloughing 12,000 workers. Later in the day, Northwest also announces cutbacks. Day 5 of the investigation, and federal agents now confirm that at least 25 people are being detained in connection with the attack. Some are being held merely because it appears they're in this country illegally. But others, sources say, are getting a closer look, including the two men taken off a train on its way to San Antonio the day after the hijackings. In their possession, investigators say, box cutters, hair dye, thousands in cash, and unused airline tickets. Sources now confirm the two have been flown to New York for further questioning. And late today, federal agents raided a Jersey City, New Jersey apartment where it's believed the two men once lived. And the FBI would also like to know more about this man, 33-year-old Zacharias Moussaoui. Moussaoui was arrested on immigration charges just last month near Minneapolis. Employees of the Pan Am International Flight Academy alerted authorities after the man offered $10,000 cash for time in a commercial jet flight simulator. French authorities have told the FBI Moussaoui is a high-level operative for Osama bin Laden. The so-called watch list of people the FBI wants to interview in this case now has more than 140 names on it. Attorney General John Ashcroft is encouraged by the investigation's progress.
We are making the kinds of contacts and developing the information that allow us to describe this as proceeding with reasonable success. We believe that the picture is developing a kind of clarity that's appropriate, and we are further refining our understanding of the ways in which this terrible crime was developed.
And there's evidence now that bin Laden associates might have found a way to profit from the devastating attack even before it happened. NBC's Andrea Mitchell.
NBC News has just learned some startling information about how he may have raised new funds in order to finance this operation. German regulators have asked the FBI and CIA to help them with an ongoing German investigation into short selling on reinsurance stocks.
And look at these two satellite shots from 423 miles up, before and after. The profound change in the face of Manhattan. And perhaps the most important development today for some New Yorkers who live near the World Trade Center. They get to go home. The question is, do they want to stay?
Yeah, it looks all right. But, you have to ask yourself bigger questions as to whether you want to live next to what happened. It's obviously changed the neighborhood fundamentally.
Dateline's Chris Hansen tonight. Late today, word that the FBI has issued a second arrest warrant. This one is also for a material witness. This witness is not yet in custody.